So if you would please open your little ATS books to Chapter 2. We discussed Equip 1 through 3 and Engage 1. I gave you some homework to do, some reading, and we will answer as a class, hopefully you've done that reading, some Equip questions and then an Engage question or two as well. So let's start with Equip 6 and 7. I think that's where we left off. Is that where we left off yesterday? Okay, good. That's good. I understand. So, what are the first principles of thought? Like define them. Yes, Phil.
Everyone knows them as true, or the laws of nature which are like true without coherently thinking about them.
Yeah. So the first principles are self-evident laws, laws of logic, that need no proof from other principles because they're just self-evident. If you think about our Constitution, we hold these truths to be self-evident. When they say that, they're saying, we hold these truths to be things that everybody knows. And then they go on to say that human beings are created with certain inalienable rights, and namely life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And every human being intuitively knows that. And if you don't think every human being, every sentient human being intuitively knows that, go to a closed country, and you'll find people who are yearning to be free, who are dying quite literally at times to be free. It's self-evident that people want autonomy. So this is a similar thing, although that's a belief or a desire, maybe is a better word. They are self-evident laws of logic. They do not need to be explained. Everyone just goes, yep, that's right. So they need no proof from anything else, from math or science or any sort of principles. They don't need proof for that. Give me a chance to write that down. So two of the first principles are the law of non-contradiction and the law of the excluded middle. What is the law of non-contradiction?
Both sources cannot be right. The contradictory claims can't both be true at the same time.
So two, I think the word you wanted there was two. Two contradictory claims cannot both be true at the same time in the same sense. If I say this is fifth period and this is sixth period, those two things cannot be true at the same time. Now, they could both be wrong, but they can't both be true. And we just know that, right? I've heard of, kind of tricks that students play on, like twins, play on teachers, pretending to be, the other twin. And I've never had that happen to me. And I rarely, I've had twins. I rarely have known of twins that I couldn't. Not so I know I got that down. It took me a little while, but I got that down. So you can't say say these two students' names are, just say Joyella and Bailey, since we already have those things, right? Or had them. I'm Joyella. No, I'm Joyella. those can't both be true at the same time. And we all know that. No, you can't both be Joya. One of you is male and one of you is Joya. And wouldn't it be just like them to I don't like it. So sweet. Yeah, what?
I'm not.
Yeah, right.
I'm
Good
also
job.
not.
Okay, well, that cannot be, although you are twins. Nice job, by the way. If you're going to twin, wear something that looks good.
I'd love to share what I
Why can't you be more like
Alright.
I know, that's so funny. So yeah, first the law of non-contradiction is that two contradictory things cannot be true at the same time, in the same sense. What is the law of the excluded little? We're not talking about the little child here, the excluded little child, the forgotten child. What is that? I didn't know what that was. What's the law of the excluded little?
Telling us something you
Yeah, something either is or is not. There's no in between. You can't say, oh, look, he's dead. No, he's alive. He's one or the other. He can't be both dead and alive at the same time. And so something either is or is not. So either God exists or he doesn't, but there's no such thing as God sort of exists. Does that make sense? And then define these terms of logic. What is deduction? Yes.
taking out factors that are possible to find something.
That's mathematically. We're talking about logic. We're talking about first principles of math. Yes.
Also just using the logical process of lining up
So it is this process of lining up premises. I'll explain that to you in a minute. The process of lining up premises in a logical argument, in a valid logical argument. We'll talk about what that word valid means. So deduction is lining up premises in a logical argument and coming to a valid conclusion. So if I say it's fifth hour, Bible 11 is during fifth hour. Therefore, Bible 11 is in class. That's a logical argument. So what you're doing, and it can have more than two premises. We'll mostly work with ones with two premises, but they can have as many premises as you want. So if it is fifth hour, and if Bible 11 is 11b, I should say, Bible 11b is during fifth hour, then Bible 11b is in the Bible right now. And so that's deduction. We line up these premises and we come to a conclusion about them. So the premises are it's fifth hour, Bible 11b is fifth hour, and so then therefore, based on that, therefore, Bible 11b is in the Bible right now. Yeah, that's a good question. So a premise is a statement that that is making a claim about something or someone. So I am claiming, I'm saying as a true statement that Bible 11b is during fifth hour. And it is now it is now fifth hour, or it is fifth hour right now. Those are statements that I am claiming to be true. But here's the thing: there's two words that you need to understand to determine whether a logical argument is accurate, whether it's true. Okay, and those two words are true and valid. Valid is not the same thing as true. Valid means that the valid means that the conclusion follows the premises, like it makes sense with the premises. So if I said this, true means that the premises are correct. The premises are true. Valid means that the conclusion follows those two premises. So let's start with true, okay? Or let's start with true. Let's say this: all women are bad drivers. Mrs. Keyser is a woman. Therefore, Mrs. Keyser is a bad driver. That's a valid argument, because it doesn't mean it's true. Valid doesn't mean it's true. If all women are bad drivers, and if I'm a woman, which I am, then I am a bad driver. If all women are bad drivers, are all women bad drivers? No. You go talk to Hallie Deegan, who is a professional race car driver on the NASCAR circuit, and she is the cousin of former neighbors of ours. Yeah. No, I don't think she's. So that is actually a valid logical argument, but it's not true, right? Because one of the statements isn't true. Not all women, and all you need is one example against it, and it's not true, because it's a sweeping statement, right? So you're looking to write, and you're going to write in your test. You're going to write a logical argument. So you need it to be both valid and true. So the other thing is that is it true, or is it valid? So in this case, one of them wasn't true. Let's talk about valid. Sometimes I get these logical arguments from students, and it doesn't follow. So they say something like, so all tables have 4 legs. There's a table in the room. Therefore, I'm sitting at the table. That doesn't follow the first 2 things. That's not a valid. It can be true and not be valid, right? So, and it's actually not true either, because not all tables have 4 legs, right? But just because all tables have 4 legs, and just because there's a table in the room, doesn't mean that you are sitting. Okay. Now let's assume that all tables have 4 legs for this. If you said all tables have 4 legs, I am sitting at a table. Therefore, the table in which I'm sitting has 4 legs. That would be both true and valid if all tables have 4 legs. So that's the difference between valid and true, and that's something you need to know and you need to keep in mind when you write your logical argument on your test. And if you want to run a logical argument, to me and run it by me, I'm happy to help you kind of shape that in a more accurate way. So deduction is lining up those premises in a logical argument and coming to a conclusion. Induction is drawing conclusions from repeated observation. Essentially, induction is the scientific method. Have you done any chemistry experiments? Okay. When you do that, that's induction. The story I told you about my grade physical science, where there was a fire, or it blew up because my partner didn't screw up on us anything. She had screws, but that experiment was induction. The distillation of wood was induction. We were observing. It was things that we were seeing and hearing and learning from that. So that's induction. Essentially, induction is the scientific method, drawing conclusions from repeated observation. So now let's talk about how is truth known. And by the way, if you did not do the reading last night, you need to start there. Yeah, you're going to write down answers that you're getting about stuff you don't understand because you didn't do the reading. I'm going to reiterate this. If you're not going to read the book, if you're not going to answer the questions on your own, don't just this. I mean, if you haven't done the questions, I'm just force feeding you. That does not help you. At least it doesn't help you enough to do well in this class, to be successful in this class. If you don't want to read, if you don't want to do the questions, that is your sleeve and your gravy. But what your sleeve is going to have isn't that. Because you can't pass this class without doing those things. And I think this is like at least the third time I've given you this speech. And you're about to find out if you're not doing those things. So how is truth known? How is truth known? Yeah, because truth is known through the first principles of logic. That's one way that it's known. Truth is known through the first principles of logic. But it's also known through induction and through deduction. So it's known by logical argument and science, observation. So truth is known through the first laws of logical laws of the first principles of logic, from logical argument, that's induction, and the scientific method, that's deduction. Do we know everything? So it doesn't matter what people believe about, it does matter, but no matter what people believe about God or the universe or whatever else, there's still going to be a need for it. There's no ironclad, this proves it 100%. But and atheists have to think too. We've already talked about that as well. Yes. Last question? Yeah. So truth is known through the first principles of logic, through induction, which is logical arguments, lining up those premises and coming to a conclusion, and through deduction, which is essentially the scientific method, observation. And then number 10, how are truths about God known? How do we know what's true about God? Okay, we know it by the same thing. We use induction, we use observation just as we do, we use logic, we use philosophy, just as we do for everything else. We make deductions, we make statements about the human brain or the human body or rainbows or whatever else it is. And that's come from science and induction and repeated observation, and that's the same way we find out about God and about religious truths as well. I'll give you an example. How do you think this book came to be? Somebody wrote it. When you see a book, you assume there's intelligent design behind it, correct? That somebody had to think of it, somebody had to study to write it, somebody wrote it. There's intelligence behind it. It's true for you, for our solar system, for all of life. And that's where we're headed. Talk about, is this all just an accident? Or is there something? Now let's look at, we're going to look at Engage 1 and 3. So this review the story told by Dr. Geisler when he attended the University of Detroit. What fundamental problem did Dr. Geisler expose according to A.J. Ayer's logical positivism? Did we already go over this particular question? I know we've talked about it. So what was wrong with logical positivism? What was the problem with it? Yes.
The principle that was built on was self-defeating and contradicted itself.
Yeah, it's self-defeating. Because if the only things that are true are those things that are true by definition or can be proven through our senses, this can't be. That's not true of this. So anything that can't be, according to Hume, anything that isn't true by definition, like a triangle has three sides, or that we can understand through sense experience, like science, science. Where's that? So experiments. That's it. Experiments. Thank you. Like science experiments. If that's the only way that we can, if we can't find it out that way, then it's meaningless. Whatever we learn about God, about anything that we can't see or touch or feel, it's meaningless. But the statement that the only thing that is meaningful, the only things that are meaningful are those that are true by definition, the statement is not true by definition. Or can be proved through science. This statement can't be proved to science. So that statement itself is the main, the very foundation of logical positivism is false. So then number 3 on the on page 22 on the engaged questions. How would you respond to a person who says to you that truth in religion doesn't really matter? Yeah. But why are they wrong? No.
I just entered a solution first.
Yeah, you got that's. I mean, you can think about that too. Because if any one of a number of religions is true, if any one of the religions of the world is true, then there's eternity. Mistakes are really hard. So getting this right is literally eternally. And I would think that you'd want to know. I would think that everyone would want to know. Is there really a God? And has he spoken? And if he has, what has he said? And what does that mean? I can't imagine living a life was. Yeah, you could just say, no, it's true. So, at least that's the way I look at it. So, um, that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll play the Keys or quiz, and then on Thursday I'll be trying to study for that test. The test will be on Friday. You should already have your study done. Yeah, I passed it out some time ago. Yeah, so that's good.